On June 8 through 9, several state functions were held, also a kind of imperial fete at the Hotel de Ville, followed by a series of fetes at St. Cloud for the army, the people, and the court. The last took place in a terrific storm, which drenched everything, including the spectators from head to foot, likewise the tents under which they were to sup, and finally the dishes that were to have been served to them. From St. Cloud they went on to Trianon. The mistress of the robes wrote, I arrived at Trianon about 9 o'clock, just when they were sitting down at table, but as their majesties were dining at the Hameau and walked about until they retired, we, Madame de Brignoles, Madame de Lobau, and I were forgotten in the Salon de Service the whole evening. After having spent a week at Trianon and a week at Rambouillet, they returned to St. Cloud and proceeded to Paris for the Emperor's birthday. On the 25th, however, they were back at Trianon in order that the Emperor might concentrate his energies on the birthday of the Empress. Accordingly, after Mass, Her Majesties drove to the park where all the fountains were playing. In the evening, after a very uninteresting day, the guests arrived punctually at 8 o'clock, the men in silk clothes, the ladies in short dresses. They waited in the salons and in the gallery of the state room, where the heat was so great that several ladies fainted. At 9:30, the Emperor and Empress came out of their private room and held a reception, after which everyone retired to the gardens. The illuminated parterres were duly admired, and then everyone adjourned to the theatre to see Les Projets de Mariage and La Grande Famille, an incredibly silly tropical trifle of Monsieur Alexandre de Chazet. After this, the company proceeded along a course marked out with lamps, colored glasses, and burning faggots to hear a cantata of the Pavillon Francais, and to see a roundabout manned by children in Chinese costume, a children's dance around the statue of Venus, and an act out of the opera consisting of a country wedding, clowns, acrobats, peasants, dances, and games. Afterwards, supper was served on little tables at the Grand Trianon. From Trianon, they went to Compiègne, where Marie-Louise had the pleasure of following, coursing on horseback. Her health, however, had not improved, and she suffered from frequent chills and fever. As she refused to be separated from her husband, she would not admit she was ill and continued to live the strange, timeless existence in which Napoleon, Lord of the Hour, declined to admit that he could be its slave. The Emperor is to leave tonight, wrote Siger on September 1st. The Empress on Saturday, about 2 hours after midnight. We are to rejoin the Emperor at Antwerp, and then to visit Utrecht, Amsterdam, Le Texel, Akmer, The Hague, Rotterdam, Flushing, and Fontainebleau. I have seen no journey arranged and published beforehand, as this has been. There will have to be some alterations in the dates, unless things have changed considerably. Chapter 6, The Journey of 1811. This journey can only be understood by comparing the Emperor's itinerary from September 19th through 30th. 1811. September 19th, departure from Compiègne at 3:30 a.m. Arrival at Montreuil at 4 p.m. Review at Boulogne 8 p.m., where he slept. 20. Bologna. Review. Visit to the fleet by sea to Vimeraux and Ablativza. 21. Bologna. Review. 22. Bologna. Reviews and inspections. Departure for Calais, Dunkirk, Furnace, and midnight. 23. Departure from Furnace 1 a.m. Arrival at Ostend 3 p.m. Review. Visit to the town Brescia 6 p.m. 24. Visit to the fortifications of Ile de Calso and the squadron lying off Flushing. Slept on board the Charlemagne. 25th to the 26th on board the Charlemagne. 27th at Flushing. Reception of authorities. Visit to the works. 28th from Flushing to Middelburg and Veer. 29 from Flushing up to Scheldt again. Arrival at Antwerp 1 a.m. 30th at Antwerp. Audiences. Arrival of Marie-Louise from Brussels at 4 o'clock. Although Marie-Louise kept no journey of her travels in 1811, she made ample amends for this hiatus in a series of confidential letters. Their Majesties reached Compiègne on August 30th, 1811, and their arrival coincided with the death of the General Ordner, the governor of the palace. In spite of a slight attack of biliousness and a nervous chill which affected her hands and feet, Her Majesty mounted her horse to follow the chase and was present at the commandite. With his usual punctiliousness on points of etiquette, the emperor laid down the strictest injunctions as to presentations and ceremonial for state functions. He departed on the night of the 18th at 3 a.m. In the afternoon, the empress made a long expedition to Pierrefonds. Some fine ruins were there, with which I was not acquainted, and the part of the forest which led to them was most somber, almost rivaling the ruin in antiquity. Thus wrote Madame de Lucy to her husband. The empress subsequently wrote to the emperor, who had already reached Bologna, Compiègne, September 19th, 1811. I'm very sad, my dear, to think that instead of talking to you, I must have recourse to my pen, and it needs all my courage not to give way entirely to the sorrow your departure causes me. At this moment, I am more than 50 leagues from you, and each day will increase the distance between us. You cannot imagine the feelings I have when I pass by your room and see the windows and shutters closed. You must love as I love. To understand this, I beg you, dear one, to be careful of your health. If to the uneasiness I feel were added the anxiety of knowing that you were ill, I could not bear it. Your son is well. I have just come from him. Madame de Montesquieu said that as I was giving you news of him, she would not trouble you with a letter. I intend to leave on Saturday at 4 o'clock and hope to reach Brussels about midnight. I have not yet written to Princess Pauline, who wanted to go there too, because I did not know if you would like it. I beg you to send me your decision in half an hour. I shall be going to the play, while all my thoughts will be at Bologna. Send me news of you very often. I love you very tenderly. Do not forget her who calls herself till death your tender and affectionate wife and friend, Louise. The comedy that evening, performed for Her Majesty, Le Parleur Contrarié, with Dumas, Baptiste Sr., Thénard, d'Avigny, Baptiste Jr., Madame Mars, and Demer's son in the cast, and Les Héritiers de Davigny, Michaud, Baptiste, Léonard, and Mars. The impression made on Marie Louise is recorded in her letter of the 20th, Compiègne, September 20th, 1811. I am waiting with great impatience, my dear, for news of your arrival at Bologna. By this time you must be very busy with the fleet and with your troops, and I greatly fear that your army may make you forget your tender Louise, whereas I, who am all alone, think of you incessantly. I feel our separation much more. The day that I receive your first letter will be a day of happiness for me, but I shall be yet more happy when you give me the order to rejoin you. I reckon the hours and minutes to that moment. I am well. So is your son, who lay laughing today for more than half an hour on my bed. He slept well, but he is a little pale, as he is cutting his teeth. We are beginning to have very bad weather. I offer prayers that it may not continue, as I fear the adverse winds may keep you longer on board your squadron than I could wish. But take care, my dear one, for at the end of the week I charge you to let me come to you, be it even in the costume of a page or on horseback, no matter what, so long as I see you again. Prince Schwarzenberg left this morning overwhelmed with your kindness, of which he spoke last night with great appreciation. I went to the play where 2 very gay pieces were given, but far from making me laugh, they produced quite the opposite effect. I made an expedition yesterday with the ladies to Pierrefonds, but did not enjoy it, for you were not with me. Today I shall receive all the persons connected with this journey to say goodbye to them, and tomorrow I shall go to Laeken. I beg you, my dear one, to write to me soon, and at great length. I embrace you most tenderly in my thoughts, and am longing to tell you in person how greatly I love and cherish you, your very affectionate and faithful wife, Louise. The Empress duly set out on the 21st. The Grand Chamberlain and Baron Cornelisson, Saint-Aignan, Count Oville, Philippe de Ségur, and Mesdames Lauriston, Aldobrandini, Brignon, Messieurs d'Arcy and Beauharnais all accompanied the Empress to Laeken. Undoubtedly we shall make no stay there, seeing that the Emperor has 48 hours start of us. The talk is all Amsterdam, wrote Siger. When they had safely arrived, the Empress wrote, Laeken, September 22nd at 1 in the morning. My dear one, I have just arrived at Laeken and am not in the least tired after the journey. We were not too hot, but the dust was frightful, such as I have never seen before. Your kind letter arrived too late for me to be able to execute your orders. I asked the gentlemen if it would be possible to remain at Valenciennes. They told me that it was too late to make the necessary arrangements. I will reply to you at Greater Lake tomorrow. I embrace you thousands and thousands of times and am going to bed. My last thought as I fall asleep will be of you, your tender and faithful wife, Louise. They had indeed arrived, but after what adventures? Quote, the fast coach of the Martins and the Lisettes broke down as soon as it left Compiègne, wrote Siger. The ladies implored me to give them the manservants of the castle as waiting waits. The plate wagon had broke down midway on the journey. Beausset was in despair, furious at his lodging, but unable to find anyone to complain to, for we arrived at 2 in the morning, and despite the remarkable figure of our prefect, everyone was so occupied with his own affairs, and with the ladies, that he was not noticed. Besides, I had all the lights put out quickly so that peevish people might get to bed without making comparisons between their own lot and that of others. Marie-Louise had a pleasanter journey than her Lisettes, she wrote, Laeken. September 22nd, 1811 at 4 o'clock. My dear one, I was delightfully surprised on waking to find a letter from you. You must know how happy I always am to get your letters, since I see that you think of me sometimes. The letter you wrote on the evening of the 19th only reached me as I left Compiègne. This delay annoyed me very much, for it prevented me from carrying out your wishes about my journey. I assure you, my love, that I have not been overtired, and that I have slept without waking from Mons, where I dined, to Laeken. I pity you if you have a dust like this on your journey, for it is as black as coal. Still, I have not coughed at all, and am so little fatigued that if I could and dared rejoin you, I would start again at once. I implore you not to forget your promise to be with me. At the end of the week, the time passes very slowly without you, and if this separation were to last many more days, I should become ill with sorrow. Tomorrow I shall receive the authorities and the ladies, and in the evening I shall go to the play. But I will try to be charming, since this gives you pleasure, but it will be difficult for me when my heart is so heavy. Don't forget to give me the money you promised me, for I shall need it at Brussels. I hope you will not go chasing the English a second time. Since then I wish them more ill than ever, for they were the cause of detaining you another day, and will perhaps still keep you some days at Boulogne. But if you break your promises to me, I shall not forgive you so quickly. Please let me have news of you regularly, and be sure I shall not let a day pass without writing to you, and without giving you an account of all my actions. Adieu, my dear one. I pray that your health may not suffer from the fatigues of your journey, and that I may soon have the happiness of embracing you in person. Your faithful and tender wife, Louise.